Hello, everyone. Our official host is jumping right in.
I forgot my glasses. Good evening, everyone. The Nighthawk here with you. Welcome to this edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, December 16th, 2020. Our studio director, as usual, is Alan Ritchie Cunningham. On my immediate left, Super Dave Handy, and on my right, Mr. Duke Forrest. As we get rolling here, Duke, I just want to let you know Lake Champlain water level is up to 94.77 feet.
Yeah, very unimpressive.
And the water temperature, I didn't denote this last week, was 43. It's now down to 39.9 inches.
Yeah, I was at Kilcare last night for no good reason. It was bitter down there, but there was, right where the ferry comes in, there was like a light sheen of ice in there.
And
anyway. Yeah, you can't forget walking out to Mosquito Island. The sandbar's pretty much underwater now.
There's a storm coming on the northeast coast.
Big.
Huge.
They're hyping. They don't hype this stuff up too much. Seeing references to the biggest storm in years, we may not even get a flake out of it.
I just,
at
in
most,
fact,
an inch or two.
Checked 10 minutes ago, our hourly forecast, not even a snowflake.
Maybe not a snowflake. I mean, just
But
look
a
at
foot
a
or
map.
two in New York City, New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, just look at a map of New England. Who's the farthest away from a coastal storm in New England?
That's us.
Unless far northeastern Maine competes with us, we're basically the farthest away from the coast.
You know, speaking of New York City, David, it was really cold in New York today.
How cold was it?
Oh, thanks for asking, Dave.
I
It
know
was
that was-
so cold, the Statue of Liberty, she was so cold that she took her torch, put it inside her dress to keep warm.
Oh, but that's really a groaner.
Okay, let's grab a call. Good evening. You're the first caller tonight on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County.
Yes, good evening, gentlemen.
Hey, Len.
A good trivia question. I know Hawk likes trivia.
I love trivia.
This is a good one. This is a pretty good one. And if you get this, you're pretty good. Only two people in the history of Major League Baseball have hit 50 home runs as well as stealing 50 bases.
Did you get that from Dan Shaughnessy? It seems like I just saw that question, but of course I don't remember the
50
answer.
home
Well,
runs.
it started in Vermont, it made its way to Massachusetts, and it's now back to me. So I'm posing it to you. I did not get it. One is obvious. One is pretty easy.
Willie Mays?
What's that?
Willie Mays?
No.
50 home runs.
And they didn't, I'll give you this, they didn't occur, for each player, they did not occur in the same season. But they accomplished the feat. They had 50 stolen bases and 50 home runs in their career.
In separate seasons.
Oh, okay.
So would you say one should be obvious, Len?
Barry
One
Bonds.
should be Barry Bonds, obviously, very obvious.
Very good, Hawk.
Now, if you remember Barry Bonds when he came up with the Pittsburgh
He was a
Pirates,
small guy.
a very slender, great runner. Then, of course, once he got on the steroid bench, he completely...
His body changed just a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
Well, he had 73 home runs in 2001.
I'm going to say Sammy Sosa,
No?
Mark McGuire.
No.
No?
Is he currently playing?
No. This is like what is, what's the old show, What's My Line?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Len.
Brady Anderson.
Oh, that's
I
right.
thought about Brady Anderson.
God,
Oh.
Brady Anderson.
He was on
But
the
he
Red
only
Sox.
hit 50 home runs
Baltimore. He was with the Red Sox for a while.
Yes, he went to Baltimore.
In 96, he had 50 home runs with Baltimore. And 4 years previous, in 92, he had 53 stolen bases.
With the Red Sox.
Wow.
And
Not with the Red Sox. He's all with Baltimore.
I did
Baltimore.
because the red light really went on with steroids
Really?
when Brady Anderson got
Anderson?
50 home runs.
Yeah. Leonard, while we're on the subject of trivia, let me give you Dan Shaughnessy's two trivia questions and everybody else here. Name the only player to hit 50 homers in a season between 1970 and 1989. Second question, who's the only pitcher to allow 50 home runs in a season?
I'm going to take a stab at the first one. I'm going to say from the Cincinnati Reds,
I think he got it.
right fielder George Foster.
Excellent, very good. I thought the second one was a little easier.
That was going to be my thought.
Okay.
That's where I was leaning, yeah.
And the second
What's
one,
the other one?
the pitcher that gave up 50 home runs,
Yeah, only
I'll
pitcher
go-
to give up 50 home runs in a season.
I'll go with Burt Blyleven.
Very good, right on.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
job.
Wow.
That's why they
I
call
might-
me Mr.
I
Trivia.
might have gotten Burt. I
Who
never
was
would have
the
gotten George
pitcher
Foster.
again? Who was the pitcher?
Burt Blyleven. Who could forget Burt?
11.
And I swear to God, I didn't see that question.
What college, what baseball player went straight from college baseball to the major leagues and at his first at bat hit a home run off Burt Blyleven?
I was going to say Bob Horner.
You're right.
It is
Yeah,
Bob
you're right.
Horner.
Bob Horner?
Yep.
Went straight from college to the major leagues and hit a home run in his first at bat against Burt Blyleven.
Wow,
Very
you're
impressive.
pushing the envelope on my brain.
What college? What
That's a
college?
good question.
Don't know.
I'd have to look that up. But he played for the Braves.
Yeah.
Shaughnessy
He was a
also.
hell of a hitter. He just his weight.
He was
got
fat.
injured and he just couldn't watch his weight.
Right.
He was overweight, and you know. But anyway, I'm a little disappointed. Now I got to find something what to do in early February because I thought I was going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy, as a Patriots fan who's picked up the Giants, courtesy of Mr. Jones, yeah, you can imagine the mood I was in. I could have bought a New York Post Monday. I was near a store. I didn't dare.
Well,
I didn't dare.
My first thought after the game, reading in the newspapers, was that the judge made an error, made a huge error here in playing Daniel Jones.
Yeah, that doesn't sound crazy.
And but he was a statue out there. But to his credit, no receivers got open. They sacked him 8 times, I believe.
He was sacked.
And I mean, the man couldn't move. He was immobile.
It did look like the
And
receivers were well
now
covered,
he's got-
didn't it?
Now he's got a left ankle issue to go with his right hamstring.
They won't
So
play him.
if-
They shouldn't.
Colt McCoy would have given him every bit as much of a chance to win on Sunday.
Are they saying, is Judge saying who's quarterback now or not?
Of course not.
No,
And
he's
Colt
still gonna
McCoy
go
got
with,
sacked twice, too.
Yeah.
He came in late at the end of the
Yeah.
game.
I'll tell you what, Joe Judge has got a lot of praise this year. Shame on him by putting a player
playing.
out there that could not defend himself. He played horrible, and shame on Daniel Jones. He knows his body better than anyone. It's a very
But the
selfish.
players, I mean, a lot of players are not going to be the ones who tell
Jones
you, don't play me.
is a gritty guy.
Yep.
And he probably looked okay in practice, and he probably looked like he was all right. But when you're playing at game speed,
Well, David,
game speed's a whole
let me
different
tell you
animal.
something. I look pretty good on the golf driving range,
Yeah.
okay? But then I get in the course, it's a whole different thing. But Joe Judge, that just shameful what he did.
They had a great article in the New York Post the next day, and they said it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
The 4 weeks of
Yeah.
thinking the Giants were going to be in first place.
That was kind of my feeling.
It was a great vacation, and it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
And now this clock struck midnight, and Cinderella's slippers are gone.
Yeah, I think
They're
that's-
back to being a
But
Giants.
It's the NFL. It's the NFL. You never know.
I'll tell you what.
You never know.
The Washington looks halfway decent, and the Eagles looked a hell of a lot better too.
And the Cowboys even had a
Dallas
good
did.
game.
And the NFC East is not
Not
the
that
laughing
bad.
stock that it used to be.
Yeah.
What you mean? Last week?
Well, no,
The
but
week before?
hey, let's see. They think about it. Did the Eagles beat Pittsburgh?
No.
Who did the Eagles beat?
Oh, was it San Francisco? I can't remember.
Or the Rams? Or
Yeah.
No, the Rams killed
don't know.
the Patriots.
But let me say this about Washington.
Last
got a good team.
That's the team
Not
of
a
the future.
bad-looking team.
That defense is
Is
unbelievable.
good.
Between Montez Sweat and Chase Young, their edge rushers.
Yeah, they got it.
They're a good team. Plus, Rivera is one of the better coaches in the league.
And I'll tell you what else. You look at the Giants beat the Seahawks. Somebody beat Pittsburgh.
The Giants almost.
Was it Philadelphia beat Pittsburgh?
Giants.
I was thinking of my
Philadelphia
Patriots who
beat
should have beaten the
Pittsburgh
Seahawks.
the week before, and Washington beat a good team last week. So they've been beating it. Oh, the Packers, and they beat the Packers.
Yeah,
So these teams are not that bad. You know what I think hurt those guys more than anything was the no preseason and not having summer camp, because you had, between the Giants and the Redskins, you had two new coaches, whole new regimes. They couldn't get any work in with the guys. And now their stuff is starting to sink in.
Yeah. You know, I'm a reality kind of guy. When you look at the Giants, the fact is they've only had one victory with a team with a winning record, and that was the upset of Seattle a week and a half ago. 8 sacks, 6 on Jones. Colt McCoy came in and got sacked. And as Leonard mentioned, receivers didn't do them any favors.
Receivers were awful.
Getting open. Defense played great in the first half.
Ran out of gas.
But they were on the field constantly
long.
the whole game. So,
Dave, a word to you.
and the offensive line, the offensive line was horrible as well. This is a team still evolving, okay? They would do themselves a favor by losing these next 3 games. I certainly don't know. Cleveland just scored 42 points the other night.
Good, decent team.
And then we have to play Baltimore, that just scored 47 points the other night. The Giants currently sit 10th in the NFL draft. Lose a few more games, and they could end up with about the 5th pick in the draft.
I don't want them to lose. I want them to
Well, I'd like to see them win, but let's be realistic. Jones probably is not going to play this week.
No.
So,
Dave, are you believing me now? I've been telling you for how many weeks that the Patriots are at best a mediocre team. That's probably generous. You're gonna please tell me now.
Well, your quarterback's
Yes, Richard,
hurt.
you're right. The Patriots are not going to.
No, they
make
aren't
the
going to. The
playoffs.
Patriots aren't going to playoffs.
They're looking pathetic. I mean, and of course, Belichick drives me crazy. His great stubbornness, asked as the most obvious question. Hawk, you've touched on it. Coach Bill, what about Jarrett Stidham? You going to maybe play him for a few games? I'm tired. I'm not going to answer that question again. Classic Belichick.
Well,
Yeah,
he's-
Cam Newton, what more do you want to see?
Yeah.
well, Cam Newton
Well,
looked bad.
Hawk. Night Hawk.
Yes, sir.
Would you, I think it actually, I think it would aid your ratings. I would like to delve off into politics for about 3 minutes, and then I'll be done. It's all analytics. It's not angry. It's all analytics.
you have my permission.
Well, you're probably
Okay.
kinder than me, Nighthawk.
Wait,
Probably.
the clock is starting.
I've been giving this a lot of thought.
3
I'm trying
minutes.
to come up with an excuse for what happened in the presidential election. First off, we had 150 million people vote. Most ever in the presidential election history of America, give or take, okay? 30 million of those were African Americans, roughly. That's 20%. Hispanics are another block. I think we can all agree here, we're enough of historians, that ever since the blacks were given the right to vote after the Civil War, they've suppressed their vote. Major party politics, especially the Republicans in the 20th century, tried to suppress the black vote, make it difficult for them. In metro areas, few polling places, wait in line 4 hours. So what happened this time around? How come we got all these black voters?
Leonard, can I quote?
Mail-in balloting, which the Pennsylvania legislature okayed because of COVID. You had mail-in balloting in Utah, Wyoming, North Carolina, Florida, and the incumbent never raised that as an issue in any of those 5 states because he won. And you may recall, weeks before the election, he was saying, if I get beat, it's free. Okay, so I think he knew right from the outset he probably was going to get beat. And that's why he put one of his largest donors in as Postmaster General to take sorting machines out of post offices in districts that Hillary Clinton did well in 2016. But I give it to the blacks. The blacks only had to sit at their kitchen tables, fill out a ballot, drop it in a box, and Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Detroit, Atlanta, heavily black. They voted probably 8-2 for Trump. And that's really what turned this election, in my opinion. And that's basically all I got to say. Blacks' vote's been suppressed, and they voted in larger numbers. It's that simple. And there's been shenanigans in every election going back to day one. I agree with that. But there's not enough shenanigans that occurred here to make up for the number of votes given the differential between the two candidates.
Leonard,
It went by every judge, Democrat, Republican. It went by the Supreme Court. And and I also will quote the Bible. If you want to, those who like to read the Bible, go to Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 9 and 10. Pretty much sums it all up. And but that's all I got to say.
Leonard,
I've got any retort, but I just honestly feel that's what happened to this election.
Leonard, just one point I'd make. You blame the Republicans on suppressing black vote. Don't ignore the Democrats in the solid South.
I said the 20th century.
No, and I'm talking 20th century, the solid South. You think white Southern Democrats who were
No, you're right.
in the South? Don't just blame it on Republicans.
The Southern, they were hanging black people from trees legally in 1949, the year I was born. So you're right. Southern Democrats, every bit is responsible for suppressing the black vote.
Thank you.
You're right.
Thank you.
Leonard,
I can't argue that.
before you go,
I can argue that
before you
they've
go,
been suppressed ever since they got the right to vote at the end of the Civil War. They've been repressed by one party or another.
Len,
No argument there.
I think that's hard to refute.
Leonard, I
I
do have a
agree.
question for you. The woke community finally got to the Cleveland Indians, and they succumbed to their wishes, where the Indians will be no longer after this upcoming
that.
season. My question to you, sir, being a lifelong Milwaukee/Atlanta Brave fan, are the Braves next, pun intended, on the chopping block?
Well,
Good
so
question.
far they've not made a move. Two of my favorite teams are in that situation.
The Blackhawks.
Chicago Blackhawks and the Atlanta Braves.
Uh,
And they both, so far, have not even rendered any type of move.
Yeah.
Wait just a minute, Joe. Neither of those two franchises have indicated they're, in any rush to make a move. Whether it'll happen down the road, who knows? The Blackhawks, even though it's an Indian head, were named after a World War I infantry division. It was the Blackhawk division. They were not literally named after Indians. I'm sure the Indians, that's a moot point to them because it's an Indian head on their sweater. But the Braves obviously used to have Wahoo, I think was his name, when they had a home run. Remember him? He used to dance
Chief
around.
Nakahoma.
I think probably it's just a matter of time, especially given the state that they play in.
Yeah. It's like the Redskins. People thought that was a racist statement. It had nothing to do with the skin color. And I've said this before on the show. A Redskin is when the Indians would take the scalp from the white man and cut the scalp. And of course,
The backside of it.
Hawk, I think Redskin, I think that was the easiest one to make a case.
What-
I think they're different definitions.
Do you know-
I think you could make an easy case that Redskins was a bad name.
do you know who named the Redskins? It was a 100% full-blooded Cherokee that was the first coach of the Washington Redskins back in 1925.
Right, I'm just saying, the word over time, that Redskins has had different meanings to different people. I think you can make an easy case that was a name that probably should have gone. I'm not
But
about
the
to
literal-
jump into Indian.
Right.
I think there are different meanings to to it.
Oh, I agree. People's perception was that, but the literal definition of a Redskin was a scalp.
Okay, well, I mean, things change over time.
Hey, I've talked to, we've sold some stuff over the years to some of the Indians over at Akwesasne, and probably a handful. And I've asked them, what do you guys think of these Indian nicknames? They could care less.
Right.
And it's the Redskins, I would say, I have to kind of agree with Richard. That's the most disgusting name out of the bunch. The Indians, the Cleveland Indians, I don't consider to be a bad name, but their mascot, Chief Wahoo, was kind of a bad caricature.
Yeah.
I think in another world, in another time, maybe if they had a real noble-looking Indian as their name, like the Fighting Sioux from North Dakota, their Indian was a great-looking chief, but
The Seminole, the Florida State Seminoles, doesn't seem like there's any issue with those guys.
no, and then what do? We got the Fighting Irish, and it's all completely ridiculous.
Well, the Braves got rid of Chief Nakahoma.
Yeah, because I understand why Indian activists don't like it. I mean, but in reality, the state of Vermont, the athletic directors got together this summer and they are trying to get rid of every sports team name that they can think of that has any sort of negative connotation, like Raiders.
Right, that's the next one on the chopping block is the Rutland Raiders. Well, are you going to tell me the St. Albans Elementary School, the St. Albans City Raiders is going to get chopped?
No, and they've just gone too far. It's too much.
And
I agree.
Let me ask you guys this. Missisquoi Valley Union, their nickname is the Thunderbirds, which is an Indian term.
Well, and they did that to honor their Indian heritage.
Absolutely.
It's all ridiculous. And I think it's just nuts, but that's what you have.
Nothing is more nuts right now than the city of Burlington, Vermont.
I was about to mention that.
Oh, they're right out of there.
But Mayor Weinberger's got a big problem. 7 Days unearthed the story today, going back to the Del Pozo social media brouhaha of a year ago. And they got Weinberger saying he knew nothing about it. And apparently 25 days prior to that announcement, DePozo at the Echo Center, some party showed Weinberger his phone and showed him his handle on Twitter and said what he was up to. And Weinberger never even fessed up to it under questioning. So there's Tracy, the progressive who's running against him in March. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Burlington's in a lot of trouble. I mean, two Democrats' homes were their sidewalks or their driveways, rather, were defaced the last few days. And Democrats all of a sudden, are like conservative Republicans in the People's Republic of Burlington. When Bernie was running amok in Burlington, I mean, the establishment was still in charge. I mean, but the establishment obviously is not in charge right now. And, of course, they want to have local citizenry, a committee, run the police totally, be able to hire and fire. And because they're going to vote on that in March for Burlington. Plus, it's going to go through the legislature if it's approved. And then Scott's got to sign off on it, something he never would do. But I don't think that even gets through the legislature.
No.
Well, Leonard.
Yep, I agree, Leonard.
I have a
Burlington's in
cousin
tough shape.
who probably runs the most famous diner in the state of Vermont. My cousin Earl.
He's been in the news a lot lately.
Handy's
Did you
lunch.
catch
He's
the
the
story?
king.
7 Days had a great. Did you see that story?
I've seen. He's gotten more press. He is the king of getting free press.
I just read that this morning. In fact, it's a great story in last week's 7 Days.
And just to give you a little sidebar, his dad was in my dad's wedding. He was one of my dad's best friends. His dad, Rob Robert. But anyway, he is telling me, he said that things are so bad in Burlington right now, he doesn't know if he can last much longer there. Because it's like no man's land. It's like the Wild West, and every nutbag is running the show, and they want to give reparations, and it's every stupid idea, and you know what? There's no way to stop it.
Hawk, aren't you boycotting Burlington these days?
Yeah, I refuse to go to Burlington. I will not lay a nickel in the city of Burlington. I will not go down there.
It's just awful, but that's what happens. It starts. There was an old saying I had many years ago. Do you remember Jim Malloy?
Yeah, the motor vehicle commissioner.
Yes.
Jim Malloy.
He was
Percival Shangraw's good friend.
Yeah, well, he lived in St. Albans. As a matter of fact, his house was about across the street from Dowling's.
Okay.
And he was a great guy, very conservative, liked gun laws, or not gun laws, but he was a very strong Second Amendment guy. Anyway, he told me one time, because I was saying, hey, you don't need a gun that can shoot 50 bullets at a time. He goes, with these gun laws, we equate this to a camel sticking its nose under the tent. And then the next thing you know, it's not just his nose, but the whole camel is in the tent. And that's what's happened in Burlington and in Vermont with these crazy progressive ideas. They start with one, and then something else comes along, and the next thing you know, it's taken over everything. And
yeah, but what you have to, I think, not forget is the reason that it's happening is everybody who lives in the city of Burlington, for the most part, are like-minded. A majority of them, anyway, it would appear.
Well, we'll see. I think the mayoral election, I'd like to think the Progs don't have a majority of the city of Burlington. You're right, Leonard. Moreau definitely got hurt by that latest revelation. I don't think the Progs have a majority. The mayoral election will speak to that, obviously.
Well,
Beside that, but again, Berkeley, California, I mean, look at them. They've been that way for years. In San Francisco, I mean, you get enough like-minded people together to live in one jurisdiction, democracy will dictate. And that's what's happening right now in Burlington. Whether you like it or not, I don't like it, but that's what democracy does.
well, it's a mess. It's a mess.
Well, it is. It is a mess. And Nighthawk and Richard, I think I'm looking at the set correctly. If you look to your left, you'll be looking at David Handy. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, on TV tonight, it looks like he's wearing a half a bow tie.
No,
It's your mask.
it's my mask.
Oh, I know it is. I know it is, but it does. It looks like half a bow tie, just the way it's hanging there. It looks like he got dressed for a formal occasion, but he forgot the other half of the bow tie.
Yeah, with my flannel shirt.
I've never
Yeah,
liked bow
it does.
ties.
It looks like half of a bow tie. Well, I'll let you go, guys, and
Thank you,
carry
Leonard.
on. Yeah,
Bye, Len.
Thanks, Len. See ya.
Quickly, David, I'm not familiar with the Handy story.
Earl
Handy's
Handy.
lunch?
Handy's lunch.
Why, I know Handy's lunch, but that's been in the paper?
Oh yeah,
I just
It's their
said 7
75th
days
anniversary.
had a glowing story on him. Just read it this morning.
Yeah.
His grandfather, Earl's grandfather, Earl, was the one who started it. It's on Maple Street,
Yeah.
and
I've never been there.
I've been there a few times. Of course, we don't eat in Burlington that often, especially lunchtime. But then his dad ran it, and then his dad died young, probably about my age right now. He was only in his 60s. And so Earl ended up having to take it over. And his mother still works there.
I think maybe the story said maybe she had finally retired, but still at 80 she was.
I bet you she goes in and helps.
Making donuts or something.
Yes, yeah. And but he's been in the newspaper. He was on some TV show He is just a great PR man. I guess I'm not the only handy that can talk. He's
That probably doesn't surprise me.
Now, speaking of handies, my good friend Peter Handy, the Sunset
The drive-in.
Drive-In, is continuing to keep the drive-in open on Friday and
Really?
Saturday nights
Is he really?
and getting a decent crowd.
You going down there sometime, Sock?
Well, the problem is, and my wife and I love the drive-in. We'll always go out to eat, like at Rozzie's, then head to the drive-in. But there are a lot of Christmas movies playing at the drive-in now, and of course, there hasn't been any first-run movies this year for obvious reasons. But good for him.
Is that right? So he's still doing Friday nights?
Friday and Saturday.
And Saturday?
nights. Yep.
That's
yep,
great.
Yep. So, Duke, I want to get back to football with the New England Patriots. It's all gloom and doom. I see a hint of a good future.
Well, they better find a quarterback because
Right.
Belichick obviously isn't giving Stidham anything.
Now, here's what the Patriots need to do. Currently, they're picking 16th in the draft. And at this point, I don't know what happened with the Patriots. They drafted a tight end in the third round
God.
and a tight end in the fourth round, and they've gotten zero production.
They haven't had a good tight end since they drafted in the same draft, I think.
Hernandez and Gronk.
Gronk and Mr. Rodriguez.
So right now, they're
Rodriguez?
picking 16th, and Kyle Pitts out of Florida, I believe, 6'6", 240, would be a good guess what they pick. They need to tank. They need to put Stidham in there, and what people are saying is, well, Belichick sees Stidham every day. If he was better than Cam,
him in a
he
game.
would be
That's
playing.
ridiculous.
But put him in the game, see if he can play. Now, the few times he's been in has been mop-up. You can't judge a quarterback
I agree.
with 5 minutes to go in mop-up time.
And it's Cam Newton? Well,
Cam
Cam's
couldn't
Cam.
throw the ball. He's got a
Yeah.
bad rib or
But I told you Belichick's answer when he got the obvious question, the first question he should be asked, Coach, what about playing Stidham for a few games? I'm not going to answer that question
Yeah.
again. Classic Belichick.
Now, if people scratch their heads why Cam Newton was not signed by an NFL team until June 29th, they found out the answer this year. I said before the season, 8-8 for the Patriots. They could end up 8-8. But here's the recipe for success in 2021. Tank. Put Stidham in there, tank, and you should be able to move up.
I just don't think Belichick
That's not-
doesn't think
There's
in those
two
terms.
quarterbacks. Trey Lance, at this point, from North Dakota State, is right around the number 12 area. Zach Wilson out of BYU is around
I think they're
7.
much more likely to go after a Jimmy, Garoppolo or Carson Wentz maybe. I bet he'll go after just someone who's kind of lost favor.
he may go and draft somebody in the 6th round like he did Brady.
Yeah, I bet their top priority will be getting, like I said, a Garoppolo or a Carson Wentz or somebody like
What
that.
they could do in the second round, the quarterback from Alabama, was Mac Jones. I'm trying to remember his name.
Yeah,
I think it is Mac Jones.
Yeah, would be available. But this is the smartest thing I might have ever heard when it comes to sports. Okay, and it wasn't by me, it was by Albert Breer from NBC Sports.
Yeah.
During Boston Sports Tonight. She said, if Belichick wants to get back at the Jets and protect the Patriots'
Right.
interest in the future,
Right, I heard
the
that.
Patriots play the Jets the final game of the season. You lie down and play dead, let the Jets beat you, and they'll finish the season at 1-15.
And cost him Trevor Lawrence.
The Jacksonville Jags will also be 1-15, but the Jags
Presumably.
have the tiebreaker due to the strength of schedule. And this way, that will ensure that his in-division rival, the Jets, will not have one of the better quarterbacks in the last dozen years coming into the draft.
They could get.
Yeah, I heard that.
They could have Mahomes. The Jets could have Mahomes, and they'd still stink because they're the Jets.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you don't have a good coach and a good organization. I don't care who you get. And what happens a lot of times, because Darnold was supposed to be the second coming of God, He was the number 3 pick in the whole draft.
Yeah, I think 4, but whatever.
No, I think he was
Okay.
3. 3 or 4.
Okay.
All right. Well, because I'm an
I think you're right,
accommodator.
because I think Barkley was number 4.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Or no, Barkley was 2.
Barkley was 2? Okay,
Barkley was 2.
but go ahead.
So, yeah, because the Giants had the 2nd pick that year. Well, anyway, Darno, when they first got him, oh my God, he's got all the tools, he's got all of this, he's got all that. And 3 years with the Jets, now he's a mess. You know what it reminds me of? Jim Plunkett.
Really.
Remember Jim Plunkett?
Out of Stanford.
Patriots, yeah, first round.
And he had the crap beat out of him with the Patriots. The Oakland Raiders, who were a smart team back then, they picked up a lot of veterans on the scrap heap, revitalized a bunch of guys' careers. Jim Plunkett went on to win the Super Bowl. He had a bunch of great seasons. That's what I think the Patriots are going to do. Of course, the problem is now you can't stockpile salary. Like in the old days, all you had to do is pay the guys.
Yeah.
But I don't know, and
To your point there, David, it could happen where the salary cap, I think it's 198,
I think it's probably going to come down.
could possibly come down as much as $180 million.
See, the problem you got is if you got a lot of money tied up in a quarterback, you can't get a lot of stuff around him. The Chiefs window is only for another year or two.
Exactly, because Mahomes is on a rookie contract. But
And-
the problem with Carson Wentz, and I still believe he could be a decent NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I
hitting
wouldn't
at a
throw
Philly.
him away.
But say he went to Boston. What's his new contract starting up next year? 35?
35
No,
million
that's a
bucks
good
a
point,
year.
Hockey. I wasn't thinking money.
Yeah.
And
What's
when
Jimmy
you-
G? Jimmy G's got to be 20 something.
I
huh?
would 25 million.
Well,
That's an issue.
That's why, and Mahomes, his next contract
Wow.
is what, 400 million in it?
He'll get minimum $40 million.
So what happens is you can't if you got 40 million bucks in one player, I don't care how good he is, you got to scrimp somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Money will
Yeah,
be an
in
issue.
this day and age of salary cap, there is no such thing as a perfect team
You can't.
because there are going to be some weak areas.
Which just blows my mind more that Belichick is not giving Stidham a couple games.
And what you also see with the salary cap in all sports, it deletes the middle class player because
Yes.
just say he's a $5 million player, but I can get a rookie for $800,000. That's
Well, the other thing that happens is the teams don't get that veteran leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Giants' last Super Bowl team, they had Otis Anderson for a couple years.
Yep.
The first year they had him, he didn't even run at all. Remember, he was like a nothing.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, the last couple years, and you couldn't keep a guy like that. Because why would you pay a guy $2 or $3 or $4 million bucks when you can get a rookie or a
Yep.
second year guy for $400,000
yeah,
bucks?
exactly.
So that's the salary cap's really ruined football for me. But
Duke, you look at the Patriots. I mean, N'Keal Harry, who's got an amazing physique.
Yeah.
I mean, hasn't performed. Now, I will put some of the blame on he hasn't had a quarterback this year to throw him the ball. But he's
And Brady just got down on him. Brady
Yeah.
didn't want to deal with him last year.
didn't want to throw to him. But he's underachieved. But again, you look at him, 6 feet 4 inches. I mean, this guy. He has to play well. Jacoby Myers, I like a lot. I've watched a lot of Patriots this year.
I love undrafted
Demarius
rookies.
Byrd has looked okay.
Yeah.
Their running back, Damian Harris, I like
very good at
a
times.
lot.
Yeah.
I don't think Sony Michel will be back next year. You'll get Burkhead back. James White does what James White does. Is around the.
didn't they lose a lot of guys sitting out the season? The
Oh, yeah.
Patriots?
They lost
Yeah.
more than any other team. Like Dante Hightower. They lost some. Patrick Chung. They lost some key people.
You know, if they get Jimmy G, who's slightly better than average quarterback, and what I like about the Patriots watching them this year, it's your granddaddy's football. Their success has all been on the ground.
Well, in part because Cam Newton doesn't seem capable of really passing
He
the
can't
ball.
throw. His
Right.
He's never been. Well, I shouldn't say that. He used to be a good He used to be.
He was actually the MVP in 2015.
I remember that game that Odell Beckham had all that problem with Josh
Norman, yeah.
And that game there, Newton was unstoppable. But I think the injuries have just beaten Cam up. All he really is now is a fullback.
Mm-hmm.
And the other guy, I don't know. I can't make heads or tails out of him. I don't think much of the quarterback for Baltimore. I think the guy's a great runner, but he's a lousy thrower.
Yeah.
And
Is
you
that
need
what
a
you call it? I don't
quarterback
think-
to
I
throw
wouldn't
good,
call
though
him
he played
lousy.
great.
Right, he was great Monday night. He, in fact, was the MVP last year, Lamar
He
Jackson.
was MVP. I wouldn't call
has
him a
not had a-
lousy thrower. I wouldn't call him lousy.
Of course, we'll meet up with him in a week and a half.
He throws a lot of balls that are kind of take off, and I don't think his throwing technique is very good. But
in the new NFL,
he sure can run.
It's the hybrid quarterback. What made Daniel Jones a good quarterback this year, which we didn't know, was his ability to run and take a hit. But as we talked about earlier, he can't run now, and he's a liability. Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County.
Hello, guys. How we doing? Just called up to check in.
Hey, how you
Hey, we're
doing?
good.
Good.
Caller, let me just jump on you right now.
Okay.
When the season starts, supposedly up in April, which could start in May, when we look back on the winter free agency, the Red Sox may be deemed of doing the best deal during the winter in Hunter Renfroe.
Yeah, what, 3.1 mil or something?
3.1 million. You look at, don't look at what happened in 2020. That's nothing. He averaged 28 home runs per season for the prior 3 years, averaging about 400 at-bats. I don't know what the plans are for the Red Sox. He'll be playing right field. The great trade the Red Sox made with the Dodgers, Verdugo, who's a really good outfielder, will man center field.
Did they get rid of Jackie Bradley Jr.?
He's still a free agent. He won't
Still-
be coming back.
I thought they traded
But
him.
Renfroe
Didn't
is
pay
a better than average outfield with one of the strongest arms in baseball. I know this guy. He played with the Padres. Number one pick about 6 years ago, 13th overall. He's a lifetime 228 hitter, on base average 290. So what does that tell you? He's a 21st century baseball player now. But you
strike-
stick,
and
you
I can only
stick him in the
assume
middle of the lineup.
strikes out a lot.
And I won't give a Nighthawk guarantee, but I can guarantee you, if he gets 500 at-bats, batting around 6, he's going to hit 30 home runs for you. I mean, this was an incredible pickup, and I was not envious. I was jealous of the Red Sox because the Nats need a right fielder, and I had my eye on him. What a great pickup this guy
Now,
is.
what did you say they picked him up for? What's the salary?
3.1 on a one-year contract. And as the
Yeah.
old saying goes, there's no such thing as a bad contract. And my retort also was, what makes Adam Eaton, who was signed by the Chi Sox last week, a $7 million player, which in essence is $8 million because he has a $1 million buyout. Hunter Renfroe is a much better player. To get a 30 home run guy for $3 million is incredible. And like I said, this guy is a defender, and nobody will run on this guy.
Is he a strikeout type guy?
Yeah,
My question exactly.
Right,
Like
and
everybody
again, he's a
else.
228 hitter. Playing,
Yeah,
Hit 148
those
last
guys
year.
drive me crazy.
Yeah, I hear you, Bobby.
Didn't he hit 148?
he hit 146, something like that last
I
year.
hear you. It sounds like a guy who drives me crazy, too.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd rather have a guy hit 10 home runs than bat 290.
Yep, same here.
But that's your Alex Verdugo kind of guy. Verdugo, I think, in a full season, maturing, get hit up to 15 home runs and hit you 300.
That's a player I love. That's a baseball player.
Yeah. Renfro hit 156 this past season.
Okay, why are you so high with that batting? I mean, you beat up Jackie Bradley, not that he has that power, but you beat him up every time you mention him for his average. Why are you so high on this guy?
Because the difference is Jackie Bradley's a 239 lifetime hitter. Okay, we'll get you a dozen home runs.
With no
guy
power.
has got power galore. Okay, now if it doesn't work out, it's a 1-year contract, and they're over 300 free agents right now, and it's going to be Napoli's bargain basement
Yeah, it
deals here.
You know, a lot of them are going to be without a job this year.
Absolutely.
Really?
Yep.
And didn't I hear just today that Major League Baseball is making noise about trying to delay the season till May?
Yeah.
So that's
Now-
how the season's up in the air still.
Where are they as far as fans this year? Have they not come up with anything? Is there going to be a limited amount of fans in the bleachers, or at this point nothing is
Everything's
set?
up in the air.
Unknown, right? Who knows?
Everything's week by week, but I have to admit, I kind of support the owners on this. Is they would like to cut the season down to 140 games and start in May. At that point, with the vaccine, blah blah blah.
Not to mention warmer weather, people being
that you
outside.
can get some fannies in the seats. And in the month of April, my focus is on the NBA and NHL playoffs anyway.
And as I've talked about, catching a
Of
game
course,
in
those
Fenway.
things won't be done till July again this year.
Yes, exactly.
They'll be,
And April games in northern cities, they're real fun.
Yeah.
Love being in Fenway Park with a sea breeze coming in and the temperature 40 degrees with a wind chill of like 20 or so.
and that gray mist,
Right.
that nice cool 20-degree water off the ocean
I would love to
raining
get-
on you. Those are the worst days.
I'd love to get rid of April games.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, wouldn't it be nice to have 1 week like it used to be a year ago? I mean, everything has changed so much. So, you know, I work with a bunch of other people, and we have certain protocols now which needs to be in place. But everything you do now, you really have to be cautious about where you go, what you do, distancing from people. You know, a big part is like events, not going to events, not leaving on vacations. I mean, it certainly has been a reset.
Oh, I mean, I should be here right now. I should be in the Southern Caribbean
Well,
right now.
Is that right? That's
Yeah,
where you typically
yeah.
would be.
Yeah, I was going to end up in Guadalupe and spend a few nights.
Wow.
Did
down
you
there.
see Cleveland at least had some people in the stands Monday night?
Oh, the football.
Yeah, but you know,
Football.
they need those stands full of people, you know, to make money. Sports is really going to get hurt. Hockey is going to, you know, they'll be lucky to last if this keeps going on. All their money is made, you know, the seats, concessions, and
Yeah.
you know, there's, you know, certainly a lot of the sport teams going to be suffering from this.
In fact, Gary Bettman, the commissioner of hockey, mentioned today that there's a possibility that they would have to start the season, which they're planning on January 13th in bubble cities.
Is that right?
Yep.
Oh,
So,
did you see caller?
You know, getting back to football a little bit with Darnold, I like the guy, but it's hard for any Jet quarterback to really play his game when they're behind 14-0 the first 5 minutes of the game. Their game plan is usually thrown out right off, and they can draft, you know, anybody they want for a new quarterback, and you're going to see the same. You've got to have a competitive team for your quarterback to be good. This Darnold, he's got a big arm. I think, you know, maybe going to New England, maybe going to Jacksonville. You know, there's a lot of football left in this kid, and you know, you got to protect your quarterback. You've got to have a good defense, and you know, the Jets. I don't know if it's the organization drafting bad or a combination of everything, but you know, they're just a bad team, and like you said, David, I think you can get Mahomes over there, and they knock the numbers right off his back. So, I think the move what the Jets should make is trade down and get just as many picks as you can. They're not ready for a quarterback yet, They need a line, they need some defense, maybe a year or two, then draft a quarterback. But, boy, that's a bad organization. I probably should watch what I say. The Rams are playing them this week, and, maybe Jets will get the first win of the season. But
I doubt it.
But you never know. But, I kind of feel sorry for that team. It's just, it's got to be hard going out there every week and get beaten into the ground. Now, Jacksonville, they get beat up about every week, but at least they have good weather to get beat up in,
And the Jags have been somewhat competitive, and that'll be a quarterback available on the market, Gardner Minshew, who I think in a right situation could be a good NFL quarterback because Jacksonville, as we speak, is the number 2 pick, and they'll be taking Justin Fields out of Ohio State. So they'll be with a new quarterback next September.
Yeah, I mean,
How
there's some
about
quarterbacks kicking
How
around.
about if the Patriots pick up Sam Darnold?
It's a possibility.
that certainly is
That
an
doesn't
option,
sound
David.
crazy at all.
Yeah.
'Cause
No.
I bet on a good team he'd probably look halfway decent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Washington, they're for real. Those are the guys now you've got to build teams around for your division, Nighthawk. Rivera, I mean, they didn't have exhibition games this year, and his system is just starting to kick in his philosophy. That Chase Young is for real. I mean, that kid, he is a monster. Their defense is smothering. I mean, they are winning. They're beating real good teams right now.
Yep.
Haskins got in a bit last week and played a little bit. He didn't look half bad. They could be a spoiler in the playoffs.
Yep.
You really don't know how to, get a game plan against these guys,
It kills me to watch Chase Young because the Giants didn't have the intellect to lie down, play dead. Late in the season, they played the Redskins, and
beat them.
Stupidly, we beat them, and we lost our chance. They moved ahead of us in the draft and took Chase Young. But as I said earlier, they took Montez Sweat first round the previous year. They have the best bookends in the NFL right now.
Yeah, Rivera has good teams, too. He's a good coach.
Yeah. And let me tell you, the LA Rams are a sneaky team to get back to the NFL. Goff is playing good. They have a young runner in Cam Akers, and they have Jesus Christ playing defensive line. Aaron Donald could conceivably be the best defensive lineman that's ever put a jersey on. If you say Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, I could go far as saying Aaron Donald is the greatest defensive lineman of all time.
He's really good.
That is how good this guy is. And he's double-teamed all the time, and he still has double-digit sacks. This guy is quick, strong, and a first ballot unanimous Hall of Fame.
Quarterbacks always get the MVP. This guy will get some serious MVP votes, I assume.
He should.
He
Well,
probably-
you know what it did, too? He made everybody around him better.
Yep, absolutely.
And Ramsey, we picked him up. He was a kind of a discontent in Jacksonville, I think. And we picked him up, and I mean, our secondary is an excellent secondary now as well. Yeah. And they brought a new defensive coach in this year, and he has done a heck of a good job with the Rams. So, they're fun to watch. And in the AFC, you have Kansas City, then there's everybody else. In the NFC, I think there's probably 4 or 5 teams that, could go all the way to the Super Bowl. But a good game last week, you guys were mentioning who Pittsburgh played. It was Buffalo.
Thank you.
That was a good game. Yeah. Buffalo is a very good team.
Good-looking team. Very good-looking team.
They picked up Stephon Diggs from the Vikings in the offseason.
Awesome.
He's got 100 catches right now.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's getting very good words, deservedly. Looks like a pretty good QB.
Big, strong guy.
Very good
He could throw a football through a wall.
Bobby, kudos. Your Rams certainly beat up my Patriots pretty good the other day. It was a fine effort by your guys.
Yeah, I just, they played very well. I've got to agree with you with Cam Newton. He's not really a good passer anymore, and he usually, his bread and butter is running, and he could not run against the Rams. Yeah. There's a couple times he tried to punch it in the end zone, and the Rams stopped him. They are very good on defense, and Belichick went for fourth down 2 or 3 times, and I think the Rams did stop them each time, and that certainly helped for the Rams to win. But, no, I would, if I was a Patriot fan, definitely like to see a different arm in there next year.
Yeah, you'd think so. I can't imagine. It just would blow my mind if they bring, no offense to Cam, but it would blow my mind if they bring him back.
Yeah, for sure. So.
Yeah, I see him as the backup quarterback someplace next year, if he would allow himself to be a backup quarterback.
No, boy, at best, yeah. My guess is
He doesn't have a backup quarterback's personality.
I think he's as likely. I think he's gone. I think he's gone after this year.
But you know what? If he is, in fact, a backup quarterback, he'll make $3 million, and good luck making $3 million on Main Street.
Selling insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, I'll let you guys go, and great show as usual, guys. We will catch you later.
Thank you.
Thanks for checking in. Thanks a lot.
David, I want to touch on the...
We're on next week, too, right?
Yeah, the 23rd next
Oh,
week.
okay.
I want to touch on the Yankees. DJ LeMahieu was figured a shoe-in with the Yankees, and kudos to the Yankees. From what I heard, their offer, LeMahieu wants 5 years, $100 million. How old is he, 32?
32.
All right, it's too much, too many years. Yankees offered, I thought was a fair contract, 3 years, $54 million.
Is that
That's
right?
18 a year.
Yeah.
My guess is they'll settle 4 for 75. But here's what I would do if I were the Yankees. If they want to save some money, and LeMahieu was a great player, don't get me wrong. Gleyber Torres looked like me last year at shortstop. He got fat, okay? Lost a lot of his agility at short. Here's what you do for the Yankees to save your money and put it into a pitcher. Is you sign my old friend, a guy I've always respected, not an all-star player, but better than average. You bring Didi Gregorius back. You put him at shortstop and put fat Gleyber Torres at second base.
Well,
And you could get Didi probably for $3 million a year.
They mentioned Cashman at one of his press conferences said that Torres showed up out of shape and never really got into shape all season.
No.
He was fat. I think they're going to sign LeMahieu. I think what they've done with LeMahieu is they said, look, we aren't going to bid against ourselves. You go out, you get any good offer you want, and if you give us less chance to match it, we probably will.
Has he had any other offers?
I doubt they're any richer than what the Yankees are paying.
Yeah.
I know the Nats kicked the tires on him. They wanted him before the Yankees had signed him.
When you start getting up to 18, 20 million bucks a year, there aren't a lot of guys out there going to pay that.
Yeah.
And he's really a terrific player.
Oh,
With
yeah,
the
he's a great player.
economics of sports, period, these days of getting 30, 35 million a year, it's not going to be happening for a couple years.
Not until the fans come back.
Absolutely. And a lot of players are probably, if they're not happy with a long-term contract, is bet on themselves, take a one-year contract, and I'll see you next winter.
That's kind of what LeMahieu did when he went to the Yankees in the first place. Because they got him for 2 years for $25 million.
Yep.
That was a steal.
LeMahieu could be a trivia question of who's the only Colorado Rocky that's had success out of Denver. When LeMahieu signed with the Yankees, I was like every other baseball fan. Yeah, great player in Denver, but let's see him play in the Bronx, and he's been great.
There's been a lot of
he's
talk on Nolan Arenado.
Arenado will be traded, and good luck to possibly the Dodgers. This guy is like 5 gold gloves in a row. That won't change. But getting out of that thin air of Denver, yeah, and he gets about $35 million a year.
Of course, the Dodgers are going to be like a super team. They've been picking up they got all-stars at every position now.
Pretty much, yep.
And you know what? They still aren't over the salary cap. They're general manager, of course, used to be with Tampa.
Yep.
And they know how to pinch pennies where they need to.
Yeah.
No, the Dodgers are really well run. I'm a little worried about the Yankees. I think we had a lot of light at the end of the tunnel about 3-4 years ago. We had a lot of young guys, Torres, Judge, Sanchez. Well, 3-4 years later, Judge keeps getting hurt.
Yep.
Sanchez was a dog.
Giancarlo hasn't exactly.
Giancarlo Stanton, there's an albatross, $35 million contract for what you're getting. Though when he is playing, he's fantastic, but he's going to have to play more than 30, 40 games. And then Sanchez really turned into crap. Mm-hmm. And so now I don't know what you do with that team.
Yeah. It's the Phillies. Okay, they signed Bryce Harper. They're giving him $30 million a season, and this is not a good ball club. So I always consider Harper a star, but not quite. He's not in the top 5 echelon guys, but he'll hit 260, get 35 home runs and 100.
He's probably the most overrated player in the majors. Because when he came in, he was supposed to be the same thing as Trout.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something about Mike Trout. And I'm not blaming Mike Trout, but Mike Trout's history in the playoffs, 1 for 12. He's
But how
played
much-
3
we
games.
don't have much history.
That tells you everything.
Right.
1 for 12.
Right, 3 games in his career.
That ain't right.
And there's no reason why the LA Angels should have kept this guy, because their pitching staff is horrible. So what did they do last year? They went out and signed Anthony Rendon
Your guy.
for like 35 million a year.
Did he have a good year?
Oh, he did, actually. And again, I'm no genius here. It's all about pitching, okay? We can talk about sluggers all night. It's all about pitching.
But you know what, Mike Trout
Is-
he's never been a dog. He's always super.
Best player in baseball.
But Bryce Harper, he's not even an all-star sometimes.
Well, he did win Rookie of the Year. He did win the MVP. He hit 35, not this year, the previous
But these
year.
last 2-3 years, he's been
Well,
just.
no. He was 35 home runs, 110
Yeah, but didn't he hit
RBIs.
260 or
Oh,
something?
that's what he hits now. You're right. He's a 260 hitter.
If you're going to pay $30 million a guy, he's got to be
But he does get a
300
ton of
hitter.
walks for the record.
Yeah,
correct?
he does have
on-base
one.
percentage is pretty good.
Absolutely. I'm not going to crap on Harper, but I'm going to crap on the organization. You can't spend that kind of money. He has to be the missing link to a team.
And we got dealer Dave Dombrowski. Has he officially been hired by the
Yes.
Phil?
Yeah, by the Phillies. Boy, I'm trying to remember.
It was last week.
4-year contract, maybe 3.
The big that's a big shock.
Dealer Dave.
Yeah.
We know him well.
Hey, he knows how to build a team.
Yeah, and Steve Cohen with the Mets. The Mets and Atlanta Braves are great. Just a great system. And people forget, well, Dodgers won the World Series, but the Braves were up 3-1 in the National League Championship Series. It would have been nice to beat the Dodgers. But
Do the Braves have that lockdown ace? Do they have a Garrett Cole?
Well, Max Fried is a young pitcher. They have a young pitching staff,
but
they've got so much talent on
when
the
you
team.
to win the World Series, if you look at the teams that have been doing it, lockdown ace pitcher.
Well, the Nationals last season, you had Strasburg,
And
Scherzer, and Patrick Corbin pitched great. And Corbin in the Nats bullpen was terrible. But as you know, when you go in the playoffs, your bullpen ain't your bullpen anymore, because you're taking your number 4 starter, making it. Patrick Corbin was an ace. In Game 7, he pitched 3
Right.
hitless innings in that deciding.
And you look at the
7th.
Dodgers; they've got some big-time stud
yeah,
pitchers.
Yeah. So, but getting back baseball, I did see the players' union said they're showing up to spring training regardless of what the owners say, which is
Really?
stupid. But and you know me, I'm damn the torpedoes. Let's go out and do whatever. Keep life moving on. But in the economic sense, I would, even though it's a week, 2 week, month by month basis, but projection right now is it's winter time. COVID goes up. Vaccines are going to take a while. Thank God they're out here, but by the time whoever wants them, it may take till June until everybody gets it.
I will tell you that having a kid in Texas who came home last week, he said that in Texas, it's all wide open.
Yeah.
People are doing what, half the time they're wearing masks, half the time they aren't. And they don't have it any worse than we got here. The places that are open, I think, will open up just as quick. Look at Florida. Mm-hmm. They're wide open, and they aren't getting it any worse. And then you look at look at Montreal. It's really a mess there, and they're locked right down.
Yeah.
New York City.
New York City's a mess.
has outlawed indoor eating, but in the restaurants.
LA's pretty much shut down,
Yeah.
isn't it?
But in the sports realm, they talked about this in hockey with the realignment. You've got Anaheim, LA, San Jose. Well, the governor of the state of California has made it illegal to play. That's why the Cardinals are playing, not Cardinals, the Niners are playing.
in Arizona.
In Arizona.
Is that where they're playing?
If the season started up today, these 3 NHL teams cannot play at their home
right?
arena.
Wow.
So, but again, I would wait till minimum May 1st, cut the season down. We're not going to miss.
Hey, you
the
know what
first
I
month.
you know what I watched? You know what I watched quite a bit of?
U.S. Women's Open.
Yes.
I watched some of it. I should have
And
watched
that was
more.
very compelling.
Boy, talk about cold. Those players, they were bundled up.
Oh.
This is at Houston.
Yeah, 50, 60 degrees. That
Big
ain't
deal. I like playing. Can I tell you, I didn't even know the U.S. Open was going, and I rarely ever watch Sports Center, but I recorded it, watched because I want to see highlights of the Sunday night game, and they showed the U.S. Open. Let me say something about women golfers, comparable to us hackers. Their swings are so nice compared to men. Men, the PGA, they swing violently. The women golfers, if you're trying to learn to be a good golfer, don't look at the men. Look at the women. Their swings are so beautiful.
So that tournament had on Sunday, what happened was the girl that won, I think her name was Kim.
I can tell you it was
Lynn Kim or Lynn.
Aileen Kim.
Yeah, see, she, and
Actually,
it was.
didn't she win on Sunday? They got
She
rained out. She
birdied-
won on Monday, right?
Yeah.
Monday.
She birdied the last 3 holes.
Wow.
And there were only 3 people under par.
Right.
And then the girl that was runner-up, this Olsen, her father-in-law died Saturday night.
Right.
And she was playing with a heavy heart. And she went all the way. She ended up 1 shot back.
Right.
I mean, that was nice. I shouldn't say nice, because nice isn't a word, because
Yeah.
she lost her dad.
Yeah, we know what you mean.
But there was drama there, and these girls were gritting it out.
Yeah.
And they played some good golf.
Yeah, I caught some of it. I should have caught more.
And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that more, though I did watch Thursday. I watched a little bit of that.
QB shootout or something?
Yeah, shootout, which is basically the guys are playing scramble.
Okay.
Partners. And the first day, Kevin Na must have made 5,000 feet of birdie putts. I mean, he made every putt he had, and they were, God, I forget what it was. They shot like a 55,
Really?
and they only ended up 20-something under for the next 3 days. So obviously he lost his golden putter, but.
No, we pretty much have a break now. Kapalua, I think Kapalua in just a couple, 3 weeks or so.
Yeah.
But that was the women were pretty good, and the girl that won, she'd only been over in this country for a week
Right, really?
because she plays. She's
never
not
won
even
before.
She won last year. She's won a major.
Wow.
Really? Okay.
Oh, she's good.
Okay.
But she didn't play at all this year.
Wow.
She played in Korea. She wasn't even on the LPGA.
Okay.
And she was only here the week before. So, because of COVID, she couldn't get out or whatever. And but those Koreans are really making some good women golfers. There's no getting around that.
Boy, talk about dominating the LPGA, aren't they?
Oh, and
So, as Duke mentioned, Kapalua in a few weeks. So, David, this is my Make-A-Wish Foundation. If I come up with some deadly disease, okay, and I have very little time to...
You wanna go to Kapalua?
Get you on Kapalua.
You're, on your dime, you're taking me to Kapalua.
well, I'll tell you what. I had quite a day on Monday. I shouldn't even tell anybody this because we play cards for lunch. And of course, we used to have 6 or 7 guys. Now it's down to just 2 of us. Well, I skinned them. And so what I did was I bought, which I don't normally do, I bought a Powerball and a Megabucks. So when I win that Megabucks tonight, I'll be able to take you to Kapalua because I'm sure on that Monday, everything I touch turned to gold.
Can you play, sorry, is that a public course? Kapalua?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
It is a public course.
They actually had 3 courses there, but I think now they only have 2. They've got the stadium course or the main course. Then there was one by the water, which was called the Bay. And then there was another one, I think it was the Plantation or something, it was out by the Pineapple Grove.
The pros just play on the one. On
They
one
only
course.
play on the big one.
So I'm sure we've talked about this before. How much roughly to play around at Kapalua?
Well, I don't know. I won the trip from Buick, so it was all free.
Okay.
So, what year did you play Kapalua?
Oh, God, it had to be
20?
So maybe longer than that.
Well,
25 years ago.
But the thing about that, of course, half the holes are on the water, and it's, you know,
it's
you're
just-
The
sitting,
view,
you're sitting in your home
Oh,
where it's
it's-
5 below zero, and watching that is breathtaking.
it's spectacular. All of Maui is not developed.
Is that right?
Maui is
Really?
like a lot of farms still, a lot of pineapple plantations. And they also have the most fantastic waterfalls and things. Maui, if you're on one side of the island, it gets like 2 inches of rain a year. On the other side of the island,
Like 400
it's like
or something?
400.
Yeah, that's unreal.
And we took a helicopter ride, and it was just fantastic. And the water, we did the snorkeling and all that crap, and it's a whole different animal. The only thing I wish we'd have done, we went for a week, because you really suffer to get there. I think it's 13 or 14
Well,
hours in a plane.
when I went to Hawaii about
I was
8,
going to ask, so you've been there.
I've been there for like 2 weeks. I remember flying to LAX, saying, whew, oh, we're almost there. You're halfway there.
The flight
How far from LAX to Hawaii? How long?
About 3,000, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we flew from
Chicago
Chicago
to Honolulu.
straight to Honolulu.
Oh, really?
And by the end of that flight, even the flight attendants and everybody, they've had it.
Yeah.
And then you take you hop maybe 20 minutes to go to Maui. But on the way back, we stopped to LA, and then LA to Chicago, and then Chicago to home. And it's a long.
I've never been close. So Kapalua, Hawk, that's where you want to go?
You need 2 days to recover, I think.
Yeah, so if I ever find out I have a bad diagnosis, my wife won't be the first one to know. I'm calling
Okay.
David up.
And I'll
But
be glad. I'll go with you.
Well, no, you're coming with me, and I may have to
All right,
beg
we'll take
for-
Richard too.
take the Duke.
But Kapalua would be your
Oh,
choice.
yeah, and I've asked you guys numerous times your course of choice if you were going to get hung at midnight tomorrow. What would be the course you would go? Did you say?
Well, I've
Pebble?
said Pebble Beach, but maybe I should probably go. I should probably do Masters.
I think I would do Pebble Beach, because I'll tell you why. The Masters isn't the same Masters that it was 10 or 15 years ago. They've turned it into a monster. It's like 7,800 yards now.
The
Pebble Beach.
7,800.
Pebble Beach, I think, is still 60-something
Is
hundred.
that right?
And
Not even
you
seven?
can play at Pebble Beach.
Yeah,
The
it's $500, I
It's
think.
$500 to play around
But you
the
got to
golf.
stay at the hotel, too.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
You
Maybe
can't
my-
just show up.
Maybe my good friend, the Carmel mayor, my good friend David Potter, maybe he could cut me a deal
Yeah.
at Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
Well, the other courses, Spyglass and a couple of the other ones, they're just as nice.
Really beautiful.
Oh, they're gorgeous. And I guess there's a couple private ones that are even better.
Yeah. So Duke,
Speaking
Sure.
of golf, shouldn't I have gotten I'm prepared to be a member again next year, having played some more golf this year. Shouldn't I have gotten a notice from Champlain about next year, or are they just doing it?
I don't know.
You haven't
yeah,
seen
you're right.
anything?
Usually you would have your bill.
I saw the Christmas thing for greens fees or something.
Yeah. So,
Anyway, sorry. what were you
so
gonna say?
I'm lacking for entertainment. And as I've told you numerous times, I've been watching more football this year than ever because I don't get my 3 basketball games. I don't get my 3 hockey games a week.
No, you got
But
basketball
last
coming up.
night, I mean, even though it was an exhibition game, it was so much fun to watch it.
I read
In the
instead.
pregame, their new host, of course, as I mentioned last week, Kyle Draper took a job with the Sacramento Kings. So they had a job posting, and they hired one Miss Abby Chin, who
Had been laid off.
she was
right?
laid off, and you could tell, was so happy and grateful that she got the job.
Really, but again, she was laid off and
Back in August.
but by other people,
And she stayed on until the end of the season.
Yeah.
That was the agreement.
Now, are they pushing all this Black Lives Matter stuff?
something tells me.
Are they on
might
the
have
courts and
It
where?
was not, no, sir. Good question. They know what this Marxist wokeness and all this crap cost them. And I mentioned to you before, their ratings were down 70% in the
So
final.
the players'
Although, Hawk,
uniforms
as I've noticed,
I
just
saw
have
it.
their names
ratings
on
have
them?
been down for
Everybody, but not like basketball. So the Celtics open up next Wednesday, the
They've got
23rd? Yeah, next
second-
Wednesday
second
night.
exhibition game,
And
what, Friday?
They've got the national game on TNT against a guy that just signed a $250 million contract.
The Greek freak.
Go ahead, Duke.
Giannis, I'll stop there.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Gio something,
Right.
yeah.
Now, he signed for like $235 million, but that was only a 5-year contract. So do the math. It's like $45 million a year.
almost 50.
Now, when you're talking hockey, the Canadians, when they traded Max Domi to get Josh Anderson from the Blue Jackets, they signed him immediately to a 7-year contract at $5.5 a year.
Really?
You've got hockey fans saying, "Oh boy, $5.5 is an awful lot of money."
Basketball money is
Right.
insane.
Tatum, a couple weeks ago,
Insane.
he signed for $198 million,
Really?
I believe, on a 5-year contract.
Yeah.
So it's nuts. But
NBA money, unreal. Hawk, I didn't even notice. Jeff Teague, I guess, had a decent game last
Yep.
night. Where did he come? Where did he come from?
they signed him as a free agent.
The free agent.
And-
Boy, with Kemba's situation shaky, that was a good signing. It sounds
Oh,
like.
he played well last night for
Yeah.
whatever that's worth. And Brad Stevens tried very hard to recruit him to go to Butler University.
Oh, really?
But he played well. But the kid you got to watch out
How
for.
did Peyton Pritchard look?
Peyton Pritchard is going to be the most beloved Celtic
Really?
player. This guy is the ultimate gym rat. And you heard in college, first one there, last one to leave, and he's doing the same thing with the Celts. He was the 26th overall pick. Probably his pick was destined to be around 38. And I said before, if you really want a player, difference between 38 and 26 is not big. He was the Pac-12 player of the year, which tells you that's a decent conference.
Yeah.
He's a good player. Now, the irony of all this, so he started playing last night in the exhibition game. I noted he'll be 23 in January. Jason Tatum will be 23 in March.
Really?
So, because Jason left after his freshman year, and Peyton played all 4 years with Oregon, I believe it was.
Oregon?
Yeah.
I think so.
Lamb
Oregon done.
got waived by the Pistons.
Yeah, the Free Press was talking him up. Channel
that-
3 was talking him up like it was
Yeah.
a big deal.
Is there a chance you could end up on like one of the team's development leagues or
I
something?
don't even
or-
think
I
he's
don't
good enough
know.
to be a
Who
G
knows?
League. So he literally played 3 minutes and was waived right after the
that
game.
right?
It wasn't like they waited till, I think they just threw him a bone. Thanks for working out the players here. Now, it just entered my mind. There was a Duke player, Emil Jefferson. Does that ring a bell? He was actually a rarity with Duke. He played 4 seasons with the Blue Devils, and he was a good friend of Jason Tatum. They brought him in to be a camp body because of Tatum. Chance he could end up with the Red Claws up in Portland.
Doesn't sound whatever. But I love Kyrie, believe me. I still thank my lucky stars every day that Kyrie's gone. I'm glad he's won a lot of friends in Brooklyn. Not talking to local media? I hear on sports talk radio, Kyrie gets more grief than anybody out there for good reason, I think.
He called the media pawns. I'm not going to deal with you pawns.
No, he's a nut. You know what?
There's something,
He's not right.
he's not right in the head. Now, God bless him.
Despite 1 year at Duke, that's what he gets for not hanging around Duke for a few more years, I guess. Huh?
He's not any different. They had an article this week because it was 2 years ago that the Giants traded Odell Beckham for Jabril Peppers, and they said, boy, was that a one-sided deal. Because Beckham's hurt again, and
Well, connect the dots.
And
When
he's
did
an
the
idiot.
Browns take off this year?
Soon
Once
as he
Beckham
got hurt.
Is that right? When he got
bang.
hurt? Boy, the Browns, we're talking a decent team.
Yep, they're favored over the Giants. Of course, we got moved from 1 o'clock to 8:20 Sunday night game.
Or they might
can't be they got a lot of other games.
They might be rethinking that decision.
The Brownies are 4.5-point
God,
favorites.
4.5 points. That sounds
And they're
way
playing in
low.
the Meadowlands. And again, we're presuming Colt McCoy will be the quarterback. And you're right.
4.5 points. Shouldn't that line be more like
that ought to be about a 9
I would
point.
say tomorrow when I check the line, if,
will go up.
With Friday, you'll know, I think, if McCoy will play.
What do you think? Pretty certain Daniel Jones won't play.
If they're smart, yeah.
So you felt strongly there's no way he should have played
pissed
last
at
week.
Joe Judge from play. You knew the first series he wasn't right, and if he can't run,
Yeah.
then his mystique is gone. Because in order for Jones to be a successful NFL quarterback,
Yeah.
he's going to have to be your modern day.
Well, the Cardinals stuffed the box
Oh,
because they knew that was all they had to do.
Boy, it seemed like the receivers looked like he didn't have much to
well,
throw
St.
to.
Louis, not St. Louis, but Arizona has very good cornerbacks.
Yeah.
The Giants played lousy. You know what's bothering me a
but
little
keep
bit?
in mind too with Arizona, this was only a 6-6 team. It's not like the
Right, no,
Packers came in and beat them.
The Patriots even beat him.
Yeah, exactly.
The Giants special teams have had some boo-boos.
Yep.
And I guess a lot of it is our punter has lost his ability to directionally punt, and he's been punting it right in the middle of the field. So it's making it easier for these guys to run them back. I guess that's a big no-no. And but hey, you know what?
Well,
It was wonderful.
Yes, it was a great week, David.
It was wonderful to have the Giants, even in talking about them and thinking that game with Seattle was so exciting and so good, and God bless them.
Yeah, I'm glad he had some
It's
fun.
been a long time since I got excited about a
And
game.
it still gives you some hope about the future, right? I mean, it still
Oh,
looks like a team
absolutely.
that's coming
Yeah.
up.
I expect I won't be happy with the Giants unless they win 10 games.
Really? Next year?
Yeah. All I can say about the Giants, they're not as good as a team as they just played against Seattle, nor are they as bad as they were against the Cardinals.
But Dan, like I said, I literally didn't dare pick up the post on Monday. Did Jones just take a huge beating?
it was more
or-
about Joe Judge.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So the writers really thought he just shouldn't have played?
Absolutely, and I agree. Any player with a competitive edge is going to say, yeah,
sure.
I can play. But
Sure.
He really.
You could see he had no mobility.
No.
And then second half, it looked like he started limping.
Well, he
some,
sprained
too.
his ankle.
Right, now he's
Sprained
got
his
an ankle
ankle,
issue.
really.
Where'd that come from?
Boy, that
That's
sounds
on
like,
the other leg.
Exactly.
Sounds
But
like
you know
not a
what?
good
When you're hurt,
decision.
a lot of times you hurt something else, favoring the thing that you hurt,
Yep.
hurt
Yeah.
first,
Yep.
the first time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Quickly, Coach K from Duke canceled all his non-conference games. He's starting to
Was that just in Duke or the whole or the ACC?
I think it was just Duke. That
No,
did
I
that.
thought it was the ACC. Is that right? Is this
Okay,
Duke?
I could be mistaken
No,
on that.
you may well be right.
But he's starting to get some grief on the old internet. And like, he's not as squeaky clean as he's portrayed. People are starting to catch up with him. Like Zion Williamson received, I think, $400,000 during the year he was playing.
All I can tell you is it's a very, I asked my friend Roy, who's all over this stuff, that's a very complicated story. But Coach K is getting beat up for sure about saying, I'm not even sure he should have played. I heard Arnie on 101.3, they'd love to beat up Coach K for saying, I'm not sure we should have played this season. Oh, that's what he's saying after he lost 2
Right.
games. For the record, I think he was saying that before, so don't hang it on 2 games. But no, there's something to what you say.
Well, when you're dealing with these top-notch guys that are only there for the money and they're one and done, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of miffed that you read the story about Zion getting $400,000 his one and only season, but there's no follow-up with this story.
All I can tell you is it's a very complicated story
It's
because
like
I've asked
Hunter
Roy about
Biden.
it.
They hide it. It'll come out in 3 years.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a real clear, obvious
The
story.
running back from USC that won the Heisman Trophy
A few years, and then took it away.
and took it away, and I can't remember his name.
Was it Charles White?
No, but came find out his USC or the boosters gave his parents a brand new $1 million home and just a ton of money. And he, as I said, ended up giving his Heisman Trophy back.
He had to get back the Heisman Trophy, but he didn't have. But USC, did they win a national title that year?
I can't remember.
Big weekend coming up for college football, though. We
Now
got the,
Louisville had to give back their national title, though,
I
right?
think you're right about that.
Was that when
With
Never Nervous?
no, when Patino, they had had all the hookers.
Oh, that's right. Right, you
And-
get recruited.
And I love Patino. I love Patino. Yeah, this was terrible. My assistant coaches take zero responsibility for this.
Yeah, you go to Louisville, get recruited, and you got your choice of a blonde, brunette, or redhead to take up to a dorm.
You know what? That was just the only difference between that and about 100 of those other schools is that they got caught.
Exactly.
That could be. But again, big weekend in college football. We have the conference championships. And some
Notre
folks
Dame,
are
Clemson, going to be a pretty good game.
Clemson and Notre Dame. But the big question is, if Notre Dame wins that, is Clemson out of the top 4? Because I'm sure the networks, I got to think, well, I guess they'd love them both in there. That's kind of an awkward situation. But yeah, Notre Dame, Clemson for the ACC championship.
Well, my Texas A&M is still in it too.
Number
what are they,
5.
5 or 6?
No, they're 5. Florida's 6. So if Clemson does get beat a second time by Notre Dame, Texas Aggies certainly have a shot
Yeah.
to move up there.
So UVM hockey opens up down at Amherst this weekend.
Really?
Friday or Saturday night at 6, Sunday night at 6. They'll be on Nesson on
Right,
Sunday
saw that.
night. And our basketball team opens up this upcoming Monday and Tuesday against Lowell, 5 o'clock Monday, 3 o'clock Tuesday.
Where's
That'll be on ESPN3.
Where are those
which is
games,
your-
Hawk? Lowell or here?
That'll be down there. Yeah, in Lowell. And ESPN3, you can watch on the computer.
Yep.
And boy, if I think I can do it, there's a icon, is that the word, that I can hit on my TV and watch the game on television. You can't record it. So it's starting to trickle back a little bit. I'll take whatever crumbs they'll throw at me. So
What time is it? We have
We've got less than a minute.
it's 50
Oh, so
seconds
we're-
before so if you have something, 10 lady.
The only thing I can add is the Major League Baseball decided to include as Major League statistics all the statistics from the Negro Leagues.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that. I
So
did
all
see the
their
headline.
hits and RBIs and all that, they count just like Babe Ruth.
And
All right,
Good for them.
Satchel.
I don't mind
Way to
that.
go, Satchel.
And another tidbit, NFL was seriously exploring going to the 17-game schedule next year due to what's happened this past year. They've put that on the shelf for
Really?
another year.
Good.
So I would suspect in 2022 we'll be playing 17 games.
Wow.
And with that being said, that will conclude this edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. For our engineer, Richie Cunningham. For Super Dave, the Duke, I'm the Nighthawk. Until next week, everyone, remember, you do not have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. Ciao.
See ya.
See you later.